Booting. Booting is the process of powering on a computer and getting into the operating system. During the booting process, the computer will perform a self-diagnostic and load necessary drivers and programs that help the computer and devices to communicate. Booting sequence. The boot sequence tells the computer what devices it needs to check and load information from before loading into the operating system. In the booting process, all the files those are stored into the ROM chip will also be loaded for running the system. The boot sequence lists the bootable devices in order of priority. The list can be changed by accessing the computer's BIOS. Booting sequence comprises of following steps. The CPU runs an instruction in the memory of BIOS. That instruction contains a jump instruction that transfers to the BIOS startup program. This program runs a power on self-test post. Then the BIOS finds a bootable device. BIOS loads the boot sector and transfers execution to the boot sector. If the boot device is a hard drive, it will be a master boot record, MBR. The MBR code checks the partition table for an active partition. If one is found, the MBR code loads that partition's boot sector and executes it. If the active partition's boot sector is invalid, the MBR may load a secondary bootloader. Secondary bootloaders load operating system. Tasks of booting process. The first part of the boot process is controlled by BIOS and begins after the post. If post has determined that all components are functioning properly, the BIOS looks for an OS to load. Once the OS initializes, the BIOS copies its files into memory. The OS loads the device drivers that it needs to control the peripheral devices. Then the user can access the system's applications. Advanced Boot Options menu. The Advanced Boot Options menu is a selectable list of Windows startup modes and troubleshooting tools. The Advanced Boot Options menu is accessed by pressing F8 as the Windows splash screen begins to load. In older versions of Windows, the equivalent menu is accessed by holding down the Control key while Windows is starting. By selecting one of the options and pressing Enter, will start that mode of Windows or that diagnostic tool, etc. Advanced Boot Options. Repair your computer. The Repair your computer options starts System Recovery Options, a set of diagnostic and repair tools including Startup Repair, System Restore, Command Prompt and more. This option is available in Windows 7 by default. In Windows Vista, the option is only available if System Recovery Options has been installed on the hard drive. System Recovery Options is not available in Windows XP. Safe Mode starts Windows with the minimum of drivers and services possible. Safe Mode with networking. Same as Safe Mode, but also includes drivers and services needed to enable the network. Safe Mode with command prompt. Same as Safe Mode, but loads the command prompt as the user interface. In general, try Safe Mode first. If that doesn't work, try Safe Mode with command prompt, assuming you have command line troubleshooting plans. Try Safe Mode with networking if you will need network or internet access while in Safe Mode. Enable boot logging. The Enable boot logging option will keep a log of the drivers being loaded during the Windows boot process. If Windows fails to start, you can refer this log and determine which driver was last successfully loaded or first unsuccessfully loaded, giving you a starting point for your troubleshooting. Enable low resolution video 640x480. The Enable low resolution video 640x480 option decreases the screen resolution to 640 × 480 as well as lowering the refresh rate. This option does not change the display driver in any way. This option is most useful when the screen resolution has been changed to one that the monitor you are using can't support, giving you an option to enter Windows at a universally accepted resolution, so you can then set it to an appropriate one. In Windows XP, this option is listed as Enable VGA mode but functions exactly the same. Last known good configuration advanced. The last known good configuration advanced option starts with Windows with the drivers and registry data that were recorded the last time Windows was successfully started and then shut down. This option is a great thing to try first before any other troubleshooting, because it returns a lot of really important configuration information back to a time when Windows worked. Directory Services Restore Mode. The Directory Services Restore Mode option repairs the directory services. This option is only applicable to Active Directory domain controllers and has no use in a normal home, nor in most small business computer environments. Debugging Mode. The Debugging Mode option is an advanced diagnostic mode where data about Windows can be sent to Connect Debugger. Disable Automatic Restart on System Failure. The Disable Automatic Restart on System Failure option stops Windows from restarting after a serious system failure, like a blue screen of death. In some early versions of Windows XP, this option is not available on the Windows Advanced Options menu. Disable Driver Signature Enforcement. The Disable Driver Signature Enforcement option allows drivers that are not digitally signed to be installed in Windows. This option is not available on Windows XP's Windows Advanced Options menu. Start Windows normally. In other words, this option is equivalent to allowing Windows to start as you do every day, skipping any adjustments to the Windows startup process. Reboot. The Reboot option is only available in Windows XP and does just that. It reboots your computer. Advanced Boot Options menu availability. The Advanced Boot Options menu is available in Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP and the Windows Server operating systems released alongside those versions of Windows. In earlier versions of Windows like Windows 98 and Windows 95, the Advanced Boot Options menu was called the Microsoft Windows Startup menu and functioned similarly.